welcome back to another edition of Coffee with the Mayor, where we keep you updated and you stay caffeinated. We're excited today to welcome our guests. We have Darin Neufeld from EBH Engineering, and we have Mr. Dale Dalke, our street superintendent from the city of Hillsboro. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mayor.
And then, of course, I'm Mayor Lou, and we've got Matt Stiles, our city administrator. So the gang is all here today, and it's going to be everything streets.
Page turner, man.
It is. It's very pertinent. It's very very now.
Tis the season.
Yeah,
right? Spring comes along, and
spring comes along, and out come
the
the orange barrels, right?
Kansas trees.
It's true. It's true. So, gentlemen, I know this is both your first time to Coffee with the Mayor, so if you wouldn't mind maybe introducing yourself, tell us a little bit about you, your family, anything of interest that people might want to know. Darin, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, I do have roots in Marion County from past generations. I did not grow up here. I actually grew up in north central Kansas. Went to K-State, got my engineering degree there. Coming out of K-State was active duty Air Force military for 6 years. My wife said, "Get me back to Kansas." Okay. So just happened to run into one of our other engineers that I went to school with while we were back here I was taking my PE test. He said, "Hey, EBH is looking to open an office out west." So I talked to him, and my wife came back and said, "Well, you're getting me back to Kansas, right?" And I said, "Yeah, 17 miles inside Kansas." We moved to Goodland and opened an office there for EBH in the late 90s. Spent 12 years there, and then that's when the opportunity came to open the offices here in Marion County. Came here in 2010. Been here ever since. We like being back in this part of the state, where there actually are trees. And you were joking about
there are.
Literally out there, the only trees are when the construction zones go up.
So most of that time that you've been back in Marion County, you've been working with the city of Hillsboro?
I have been, yes. We started working again a lot with the city of Hillsboro in the early 2000s. I know our water guys really started working with the city here on the water upgrades. About the time I moved back here is when we started doing more and more other projects with the city.
Right.
I very much enjoyed, like I said, working with all of the communities here in Marion County. Hillsboro is definitely one of the top.
Okay. Well, good.
Of all the towns in Marion County, we're one of the
One
top
of the-
ones.
I know that. I know.
You get how you want. I mean,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
there's
At least not at all.
That's true.
I have another friend that tells me all the time. He said, "Lou, of all the people I know, you're one
You're
of
one of them.
them." That's all right, Darin.
No,
you knew we were going to pick on you a little bit.
it is very fun to work with you guys because you are who you are, Lou. I mean, and Matt has been great to work with since Matt. When it was the previous administration, when it was Dolores sitting in that chair and Larry sitting in that chair, I had to be very careful about what I said. I can be more myself.
There you go.
I say what I want with you.
That's a good thing.
So.
That's a good thing. I appreciate it as well. Well, Dale, you had an opportunity to give a report to the city council, but not everybody that's going to watch this is going to have watched that. So Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Dale Dalke. I'm the street superintendent, and I started with the city of Hillsboro in 2007. I grew up in Hillsboro, born and raised here, and went to high school here. After that, did a year of Botech in Newton for machining. Worked on some farms around here for a while in construction with Larry Bartle, and then went 2 years to school in Goodland.
That Goodland connection.
Yeah, exactly.
For telecommunications, electronics.
Okay.
Worked for a phone company out west, northwest Kansas for a couple of years. Moved back here and did construction again. Got married in 2000. Lived in Wichita for a couple of years and did earth moving construction for about 8 years around Wichita. Highways, building pads, that type of thing. And I've been working for the city ever since. We lived here for 24 years now. I have 3 kids, and they're all out of high school now. Not necessarily out of the house, but
Yeah,
close. That's all right.
that's all right. I resemble that.
I enjoy having them close by.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Well, again, I'm glad that you both could be here today. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about, a lot of things that people may not know about what you both do and what we've got going on right now. So that's going to be good. But before we get into all that, we always start off the show with a little segment we call Mayor's Mugshots. Matt, I'm going to get these guys off the hook. I'm going to start this way.
Yeah. Regular decaf.
Okay.
Regular decaf. Creamer. Regular creamer. Not oat milk, goat milk, or anything else.
Goat milk, nothing like that.
Yeah, just regular old Carnation instant creamer.
Very good. As everybody always knows, it's coffee-flavored coffee for the mayor. Some world-famous Dunkin' Donuts coffee in there.
I got in my mug today just water.
Okay.
If I drink coffee, it's plain black and nothing fancy. Don't really care what brand. On a little bit of a health kick.
You have been.
So I don't hurt any more than I already am.
You have been. I will attest to that. He's been very good. I brought some donuts to a meeting here a week or so ago, and Dale refused to have a donut. He's on this no sugar business, and so he's on it.
I do like coffee, but we're with water today.
Gotcha. Darin?
Well, today, because I was perusing through your stash back there, and I did find I drink a lot of Black Rifle brand.
Okay. Yeah.
Tactus Squatch is my preferred.
Yeah.
And straight black, no additives. Today they found a silencer back there. So silencer Black Rifle today. Typically though, with rhubarb, it's just whatever. I actually walk in there and say, hey, Aiden, just put in there whatever you want to put in.
Yeah.
I decided like kind of up to him to decide what I get for the day.
There you go.
So he usually treats me right.
And Darin, is in there. I've run into you on multiple occasions, in there. And so
if they're open on Saturdays, my wife and daughter say, yep, that's where we're going every Saturday. So they were highly disappointed this last weekend. That
I get it.
They were closed. So
why don't we get into it? We're going to talk about streets. We've already kind of gone into your background and your roles.
Yeah, I think what we would like to do is just give our viewers a little bit of insight on the process. We deal with this stuff every day, but I don't think a lot of people understand kind of how projects get selected, how they go through the process, how you guys interact. Just give us a little bit of an explanation on the background.
You want to start?
Sure.
Flip a quarter.
Yeah.
That's how we pick a street. Dart on that.
Oh, don't do that. Oh, no.
I guess as far as when we're going to replace a street, it's usually the worst street first. Not always. Sometimes it depends on location as far as, is it a major street? Is it just a residential street? But usually the worst street is first, which one's tore up the worst and just really falling apart. Usually it's an older asphalt street that maybe wasn't constructed quite right or to today's standards. There's clay underneath it and the water's running through the street and pushing that clay up, and it's more like a motorcycle track than a smooth street.
One of the processes we've set up for here in Hillsboro, and we do this with most of our communities, is we have a capital improvements plan we work with you guys on. So we have an evaluation process where we go through and evaluate every street, every block of water line, sewer line, all the different infrastructures. So looking at the street piece, about every 2 to 3 years, whenever Matt has asked for it, we go back through to provide the city council with a list of streets, how we see them worst to best, and where we think the best money would be put forth from the city to do what. And then we kind of let the city council decide on where that line is drawn. How much can we afford to do this year over the next couple of years? And then we go back and kind of revise that list of streets based on council input. But we use criteria, like Dale said, factors like the age of the street, the material that it was either built out of or what's underneath it, what that current condition is. But then also the one biggie is the type of traffic that uses that street. If we have a residential street only that's only serving residential, obviously we don't have to do the same things and it's going to hold up longer, but it probably has also not received the most attention most recently. So we try to hit those arterial and collector streets first because they're serving more people and usually the heavier weight vehicles. So that's all those factors go into when we grade the streets for the council. And we try to use a 4-color system. That way it's very easy to say, okay, red, obvious, yellow, green, or orange and green. On a map, it's very easy to see, hey, half the town is now good. Since I started in 2010, I think I counted it up the other day, I think we've replaced or either mill and overlay or complete replacement of about 40 blocks here in town. Yeah, that's a pretty good chunk of town when you look at a map and can see, hey, we've actually been able to accomplish quite a bit here over this last 15 years.
I think it's important for people to know how streets are funded. We have, as you mentioned, water infrastructure, we have sewer infrastructure, we have electric infrastructure. All of those are utilities. And all of those are fee-based utilities that people pay a fee for using. And those fees obviously help to go to the capital improvement budget. In the case of streets, however, it is not a utility. We don't charge people to drive on the streets.
We don't have a toll booth yet.
We do not. So that comes out of the general fund. And general fund revenues are primarily property tax based. They are at times we've been able to secure KDOT grants and other funding sources that have been of huge help to some of the major projects. Most recently with Adams Street over here that we were able to finish off this last year. One of the hot topics, of course, anywhere you go in Kansas today is property tax. At the same time, we have people on a regular basis that reach out to me, to Matt, probably to you, Dale, saying, why isn't this street or my street? Why aren't you fixing that street? And again, it goes back to your rankings, of course, and it goes back to funding. I mean, if we could fund all of it, we would do all of it. Immediately. And it's hard when you have to prioritize things. To any one of us, that's very personal. And I mean, my street is obviously got the most priority, right?
Right, sure.
I mean, that's just human nature.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that. But it's good to know, and I think it's important for people to know that, number one, we do have a plan that's been evaluated and by engineering experts and our own experts. We also recognize the need to not go running amok with increasing taxes on everybody as well at the same time. So we are trying very hard to balance our funding. I always tell people we kind of have a three-legged funding stool in Hillsboro. Because we have utilities, we can take some of those utility funds and use them in the general transfer to the general fund to help out a little bit there to keep property taxes down. We also have sales tax. And then, of course, the utility fees, as I talked about. So those are pretty much the three-legged funding stool that we have. In the case of streets, it's a little more problematic. It's not as clear cut as it is with the other utilities.
Right.
You mentioned that priority, that the list, how we prioritize things. And sometimes that changes from year to year.
Very much so.
Several years over time, depending on, sometimes the needs of the street, or what it's associated with, or utilities or other things that need to be improved, then all of a sudden a certain street might move up in priority or move back in priority.
We also do annual maintenance, and our annual maintenance isn't necessarily what these guys are talking about with reconstruction. We do a lot of chip sealing and overlays and things like that. Crack sealing. We do crack sealing every year for sure.
Right.
And we do have the special highway tax that comes to us. We primarily use that for the maintenance piece. So that comes from the city's portion of the gasoline tax that comes through the state. It's not a utility by any means, but it, that helps. That's what we use to help pay for some of the maintenance stuff. But when you're talking about a full-on replacement, that's coming from someplace else. That's property taxes at someplace else.
Right.
Funny story about what you said a little bit ago about, you always want to get your street done. If there's anybody ever had a question as to why the 3 blocks on Adams was done last, Larry Payne lived on that section. And one of the first things he told me when I moved into town, started working over here, he said, that street will not be redone while I live on it. Because he did not want it to appear like he was treating himself to any special favor.
And I very much appreciate that. Had I been mayor, however, I would not have allowed that because
it handled so many other functions.
My comment to Larry would have been, Larry, it's not about you.
Right.
It's about the city.
So that's why
what's in the best.
That's why we worked from both ends, and that was the last chunk
Right.
to do it. And after Larry retired, that's when the council floated it up.
I got it.
And then that's when we got the cost share for it, which ended up paying for 75% of that street. So that was a nice plus.
Was a big benefit. And it's not only those grants have not only just been for streets, they've been for hike bike trails. We have the hospital trail
And the one coming.
and then one that's
The
coming,
Orchard
the
Trail.
Orchard Ridge Trail.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. What are some of the most significant street and road projects that are going to be happening in Hillsboro this year? I know we've got one started.
We got one going right now. The streets are moved and they're nearly done grading the dirt and they're hauling in crushed concrete as a base. They'll be pouring curb yet this week on South Wilson. That's on Wilson from D to E. That's great. Great to see.
Yes.
Then they got to jump on it. Luckily, we had a little rain on the project, but man, it's been great weather to start a reconstruction project. And then the next one's going to be South Lincoln. Same thing, south of D on Lincoln. This is a very residential street that's a little narrower and a little more tight squeeze, you might say, with houses are close to the street and things, but they're in desperate need of a new street. That street's been falling apart for years, and we've kind of patched it together with loads of asphalt, done the best we can, but it's time.
And there's
That'd be
a
great.
very good chance on Lincoln, South Lincoln, that here in the next week or so, they start seeing, because we're also going to replace the sanitary sewer connections from the house under the street. Don't want them in bad shape with a brand new street over the top.
Right.
So they're actually going to start on some of those probably next week. By the 1st of April, we'll have a majority of those done. But we're also waiting on Atmos Gas. Atmos Gas is in the process of replacing their whole gas service on that 3 blocks. It's kind of a process of everybody working together before we can really jump in on top of that 3 blocks. So
One of the extra challenges on these 2 particular street projects have been the fact that half of this block does not have an alley. Right.
The east half of Wilson and the
East half of
east side
Lincoln.
of Lincoln, there's no alleys. And so the people, they can't really drive to their backyard. They have to hoof it, walk on foot from the north or the south, and the ones in the middle of the block are walking half a block to their front door. It's challenging. Luckily, this first project, there's really not a lot of elderly people on that side of the street, luckily. So younger people that can get in and out a little easier. So that's nice. On Lincoln, however, I think we'll have a few houses that have some older folks that we're going to have to help them in and out or make some accommodations or something.
And that goes clear to the trash side too. That's kind of where the city has been really helping out during the projects is, the trash piece, getting that picked up because people have a lot tougher time getting it a whole block and a half away. Lincoln, we're also phasing though. With Wilson, we gave them the whole project at one time. We knew they'd be faster being able to get it done all in one shot. Lincoln's going to be cut down to about a block or a long block each time to try to help cut down on that, how long you're out of your yard without an alley.
Yeah.
Other projects after Lincoln, the hike and bike trail that you mentioned on Orchard Drive. So that's the corner of Orchard Drive and Ash. They're at Lang Diesel, across from the pharmacy, and that's going to go all the way out to
The Sonic intersection.
Basically, I think we'll cross the street over there close to Dollar General.
Between Dollar General and the new housing.
Connect with the new Mennonite housing that's going on out there. We see a lot of people walking that direction because there's a lot of retail businesses there. And so that'll provide a good footpath for them versus cutting it cross country across open lots and grass and mud and whatever.
Now will that be 8 or 10 foot?
10 foot.
10 feet.
That's the new standard. When we put in the hike and bike trail to the hospital, when we applied for it, it was 8 foot was the standard. And that's what we applied for. Well, by the time we were awarded the project, they had changed it to 10 and they said, oh no, you got to build that at 10. But the money wasn't there to build it at 10. So they were going to make the city add the 2 feet at their cost. We got them convinced. No, we kept it at 8. So we could actually work on the project and get it and have it funded. This one here was applied for at 10, and that's what it's going to be, is a 10-foot wide path.
Very good. And that was actually a 100% grant, if I'm not mistaken.
One of them was.
No, that one's 80-20.
80-20 on that one.
The other project coming up out there
The
is
C-clip.
the C-clip. We're adding a better, longer deceleration right turn lane to get into the Sonic Dollar General or Orchard Drive coming off the highway.
Right.
That's 100% funded on it.
That's
So,
okay.
yeah.
I knew we had had some success
Yep.
More
Really
recently of that, and that I think that even included the engineering
It
component.
does, yes. I will have to say that Hillsboro is in a fairly unique setting because you actually received a cost share, a C-clip, and a TA all in the same year from 3 different KDOT funding sources, and that's just very unheard of to get all 3. So it's pretty rare to get even 2.
We're special and different.
Yeah, well,
And
I'm
so there's
glad you can say it that way.
Yeah, we're special and different. You gotta know you just gotta know the right people, Darin. Jeez. All right. Well, I mean, you mentioned a lot of the technical and logistical stuff. I mean, we talked about getting in and out and all those other things. I mean, are there other thoughts that go into these projects when we're executing one of these things? Like, what other things do we have to think about when we do a major road project like this?
Most of it is the traffic control. How do we get people in and out? But something as simple as, when we start doing the tear out over there on Wilson, there's a big valley gutter that carries that drainage from the Tabor Hill down to the creek just past Wilson. Now, most of that's in an underground storm sewer, but you still get some surface water. Well, that valley gutter runs across there, and it's coming out with the project and being replaced. But we knew enough truck traffic was going to be going in and out that if we'd have gone ahead and taken it out at the time, we'd have damaged the edge of the asphalt that we were leaving because we had so much construction traffic going in and out. So we've said, hey, we can focus on the street that's the straightaway, get it all poured, curb, main line, driveways. And then once we're done with all that, people will be able to come in from the south end, and then we'll take out the valley gutter and replace it. So it's kind of a little internal timing issue so that we didn't cause more damage on the D Street. At the same time, it's helping control our drainage a little better, because now when water runs down the hill, it doesn't want to turn the corner and go up into our street project. It stays in the valley gutter that's still there. So it's little details like that a lot of times, Dale and I, when we talk about projects ahead of time, sometimes don't catch some of those. And then sometimes he'll go, oh yeah, like over on Lincoln, does that water turn and go down E Street or F Street, or does it go on down to the dead end? Where's the water going? Where do we want it to go after the project? Do we need to change it? Do we want to keep it the same? So it's those little details of what happens during the design. Dale's also come up with we've implemented on all the projects we've done here in the last, especially 10 years, into people's driveways. We've always done a wedge driveway entrance, and our typical for everywhere we've always worked is doing a 5 foot by 5 foot wedge. Dale wanted to take and extend that out a little bit, so we go 7 by 5, 7 foot up into the driveway, just to give, when you're turning into your driveway, gives you a little bit longer approach. So if you got a trailer or a bigger vehicle, you're not driving on your grass. So, those little details like that we say, hey, what do you want to see? What's your best approach? And then we try to implement that into the projects.
I always like to think of it as, if I was living here on this street that's getting rebuilt, what more would I want? Or what should it look like? Or how should we accommodate the people? Or, what should it be taken care of? It's going to be messy for a while. How should it be cleaned up? And what's it going to look like in the end? Try not to just make a disaster of it.
And then we
want to improve things.
And then we try to make sure what we're doing is something that's going to be longevity. Only one project have I had to go back and redo in 28 years. What can I do to make sure that project outlasts me?
Well, we've definitely seen of late a few things cropping up that I know you're both aware of. And it gets back to this idea of drainage in particular, and in sewers as well, that decisions were made and things were done from expediency, and we had somebody, when you gave your report at the last council meeting, we had a gentleman from the west side of town.
I ask a question. I live on Oak Street. It's a block long gravel. Is that a possibility of being paved in any time in the future?
That was one of, again, an expedient decision that was made way back when that addition was put in. The developer did not want to pay for a paved street, a curb and gutter, normal paved street. And unfortunately now people like that gentleman, are kind of stuck because decisions were made that, were, again, expedient, but I'd much rather do it right the first time and not have to apologize, later on, even if it costs a little more on the front end. It ends up always, in my opinion, being cheaper in the long run, even if you're spending a little more money on the front end to do it right. Yep.
I believe every other housing development that's gone in, definitely since I've been here, but even the 10 years prior, has special assessed their streets in their areas, and streets have gone in.
Oh, I understand.
I believe that west side is the only one.
It is, and again, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like every time you see it, you just shake your head and going, why did we do that?
Well, and in the case of the Mennonite Housing Project, that street's not even going to be a public street.
Right.
They're going to own that and maintain that themselves. We were involved with the design process so that we could make sure that, like, the emergency vehicles had the right access in that part. So how they built it meets the city criteria, but it's not going to be a city street.
Which is pretty impressive in itself, because generally that's the thing that developers want you to take care of.
They can maintain it,
Yeah.
take care of it.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And one of the things that we put in a lot of concrete streets here in town. When we're doing that initial, it's not that, okay, I do have a preference towards concrete, but I don't look at it as the sole material. We do that long-term cost analysis on it. Are there some residential type streets that probably asphalt would hold up long-term on? Yeah, they might. So a lot of times we look at during that bidding process, we either bid it both ways or get that cost comparison and then let staff and council kind of make that final decision. But anytime it's a major street where you kind of go to the concrete just because it's going to hold up a lot longer.
And then there's always that third option, brick.
Oh, brick.
Go back with the brick.
You know
Dan?
what? Yeah, I'll tell you what, that is still one of the most impressive projects I've been able to be involved
I
with.
100% agree with that.
The
What was
amount.
that?
I don't know what you were thinking, but man, I tell you what, did it turn out good?
That the amount of volunteer labor, when I tell other communities what you guys did with that, it just they just shake their heads and go, "There's no way we could not get community support to do that." So that is very impressive to this day that we were able to keep 3 blocks.
Maybe I didn't think about it too much. I just went for it.
I gotta go for
I know you did.
Here we
but-
go.
I'll figure it out afterwards.
Yeah.
But again, we talked about it again when you gave your report at City Council. But we had people from 5 years old to 85 years
Yeah.
old out there in the heat. I
Oh,
mean,
it's
the
hot.
hottest part of the summer
Yeah.
doing that. I still laugh because the guy that's out there right in front of the school was our superintendent of schools doing it because he'd actually laid brick in the street, in the past. So he had experience. And he was right out there getting amongst them.
So
So
his wife and his son.
yeah, we had people cleaning bricks, we had sorting bricks, carrying bricks over to the people that were laying them,
And when we bid that job, it wasn't set up to be that way.
Right.
And Dale came to us, after we bid it, and we got with the contractor and worked the deal with, which was a no cost change to actually lower the concrete that 3.5 inches to put the brick back in.
right?
So it actually worked out very well, and that brick street's going to be there a long time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for
Long,
sure.
long
I
time.
think we did it mostly for looks, for nostalgia, for what
Right.
it used to be.
Sure, right?
But now that I travel it, I've thought this many times over the years is you make tire noise as you go over it. Your
Right.
tires have noise, and I feel like that's a safety factor.
I think it is.
Somebody's coming.
Oh yeah, that's
Especially
true.
with the
Especially-
advent of electric
Oh,
vehicles.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear the engine noise either.
So I don't know. That's kind of something I didn't think about at the time, but since it's been built, it's a little. It's not way noisy,
Yeah.
but it's noisy enough that you can hear somebody coming. Hopefully, maybe that'll save some little kid or something.
I love it. Plus all the extra parking, that's one of the things that we've
yeah.
always struggled with was parking, and that
Yeah.
just alleviated a
We
lot
added-
of
I
pressure.
Yeah,
got
about-
that on the whole north side. there.
Yeah,
was
I think
like,
we added
just-
45
We
spots.
just need parking there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And still at a school event, the parking is full. There's not too
Yeah.
much.
No.
Yeah.
So are there any misconceptions, we maybe hit up on some of them, but, about maintaining the streets, anything that you guys, this is your opportunity to clarify some things that, people come to you and say, why are you doing this? Here's your chance. Set them straight,
Mhm.
guys.
Shall we talk about snow plowing too? That's
Yeah,
always,
right.
that's always the one that jumps to my mind.
Yeah, that one, snow plowing, we should angle the plow the other way when we come
Right.
to their driveway. If we did that, it would probably take us about a week to plow all the streets.
Yeah.
Because it takes us a full day to do it now. And we'd have to slow down, if not come to a stop, and then go, and then stop again, and turn the plow.
Mhm.
But it's my drive.
And every driveway, and I don't know how many, several thousand driveways in town.
Yeah.
Whew, we'd be at it a long time. So I apologize for the snow windrow in front of your driveway, but we try to get out there before everybody else is,
Yeah.
so they don't clear their driveway first,
push
and
it
then we
back.
come along, fill it back up. We just fill it before they ever start.
There you go.
Is
That
the,
makes life
is
easier
the
for
thought.
everybody.
They don't get us mad that way.
True.
Yes.
That's true.
That is
You
a good subject to talk about, yeah.
One of the things that I had as a misconception when I started as mayor was the definition of an alley versus an easement.
Yeah, that's a
And I
common-
know, that
Right.
you
That's
get
coming up.
asked to take care of alleys and help, fill in ruts and different blade alleys and things. But people also that have easements seem to think that you need to take care of those
Right.
as well.
Most of the town has alleys. They are city-owned alleys. Most of them are 20 foot wide, some of them are 15. But on the west side of town, there are a few easements that are treated like alleys, and people drive up and down them. All the adjacent property owners, they use them. Some of them have back gates where they get to their property. There are some utilities in them also. That's what they're mostly designed for, is there's an easement there for the gas or the sewer or the water or all of the above. It gets muddy, it gets a pothole, dig up a sewer line, then there's a pile of dirt or whatever, and they want the city to clean it up and gravel it and do all this. We're like, hey, we don't own the property for utility work. We kind of have to give them that answer. They don't like it. Now, we have in the past went down some of those easements and graded them and even rocked them, some of them, where they had existing rock already. But yeah, that's a touchy subject. And long ago, homeowners would rock their own alleys. They would, at their own expense, would rock their own alleys. And that's kind of a thing of the past anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
We've had, there's actually one guy out there on the west side of town that just put some rock in his alley, and I think he's about to put some more in his alley because he wants it there, and we told him we weren't going to. So that is nice.
Kind of related to the street pieces, the drainage. That's where we see the most,
Yeah.
the easement issue come into play the most is, and there's a couple spots here in town where there's a drainage way that's been there well before the town was ever a town. That's where kind of Mother Nature had things draining, and if that drains through your property, it's kind of been yours to deal with and maintain. And then as town has grown up, the town sends more water that way, but without an easement still there's no legal way for the city to go in and clean that area out or keep it maintained. It's kind of yours to maintain no matter how much water's going through it because it's been there forever. So the easements for the drainage side are the tricky ones that we deal with probably more so than anything around here.
I'd say a couple of misconceptions that I can think of is townsfolk, they'll say, well, this winter when you have time, when you're not doing anything, you can do this. And I'm like,
Well, sure.
we're busy every day, of the year, whether it's sunny and 70 or 0 degrees out, then we're probably in the shop doing something. But we have lists of things to do. Granted, what they want us to do might be justifiable. I'm not saying it's not worth doing, but they think that maybe in the winter we're just sitting in the shop waiting for that phone call or something for us to go out. Something's broke or there's a pothole here. I don't know, but I get that a lot. Where this winter when you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, we have lists, and speaking of those lists, I have lists from clear back from nearly when I started of projects I would like to do and just haven't got the opportunity to do, either because of time or money or both or whatever. We always have lists of things to do, and they're ever growing, and we do get to cross things off the list occasionally. It seems like sometimes they grow more than we cross things off. A lot of lists. Long-term
Well, one of those lists that I will say, and I want to give you a lot of credit for, is it takes a lot of equipment to do the work that you do. And, I'd like to speak just a little bit, if you don't mind, to street work that you guys have done up on the north end of town that maybe you hadn't done or wouldn't have tried to tackle in the past, but have felt like maybe you can step up and try some of this stuff a little bit.
Are you talking about the mastic on Orchard Drive?
Well, that's
the
one
asphalt
thing.
work on
The asphalt work,
So yeah,
both of those things.
We about 8 blocks or so of streets were overlaid last year. Well, there was a combination of chip seal, overlay, but before that we did a whole bunch of what we call skin patching. It's with asphalt where we use a skid loader or a box blade or the motor grader to do thin layers of asphalt to get crown back in the road, possibly fill in low spots, alligator spots, maybe soft spots. Oftentimes the soft spots we'll dig out first and put some crushed concrete in and fresh asphalt. So we kind of get them roughly the shape that they need to be in. Some of the streets were so bad after we did that, then we had APAC Construction come in and they used an actual paving machine to pave them and get the crown and the whole profile exactly where it needed to be. And that really dressed up the whole north side of town. And then after that, they chip sealed it and put a fog seal on it. And so that was we talked about replacing streets. That was a very economical way, much less expensive way of saving those streets. They'll be good for, I'm just going to say 20 years or more.
Yeah,
It's hard to say.
And that's mostly because those are residential streets that don't see
Yeah.
as much heavy, trash truck, but not as much. So they were the right fit for rehab instead of a reconstruction.
With the asphalt we laid and the asphalt APAC laid on top, some of those streets could have gotten at least 3 or 4 inches in the middle of the street, if not 5 inches, and then probably a couple inches at the edges, so that they're draining well, the water's not ponding in them, and so it's really going to make them last.
And I guess the other thing I wanted to say there is the way that you take care of the equipment that you do have. I mean, you have a list of the equipment that you need, that you want, that could really help us. And again, it goes back to that funding, and it goes back to the ability to generate the revenue, the dollars to pay for these things. But at the same time, you guys, better than almost anybody, are able to make what you have work, and I'm always appreciative of that. We want to give you the equipment that you need to do the job, and it's hard to ask somebody to do a job and not have the right equipment to do it.
Right.
That's very
Well, it's
frustrating.
all we got. So
I know, but
that's we feel like we got to take care of it.
and you guys do,
Yeah.
and I just am wanting to compliment you for that.
Not that
because
we're afraid of using a shovel, but it sucks to use a shovel for everything. We'd rather use the loader and
Right.
things like that, modern things and things that can do it.
those manual backhoes aren't as efficient as
Yeah.
a real backhoe. I get it.
So yeah,
Or an excavator, maybe.
right, yeah, which we'll hopefully get
Yeah.
sometime. Wink, wink.
All right, guys. Well, I just want to put the little bit of a bow on it. What do you guys think is the most rewarding, or what do you find to be the most rewarding part of this work?
I like to see a project when it's done, knowing where we started. There wasn't just a good street here or a good sidewalk or something, and we made it new. Especially the projects that we did ourselves with our own manpower and our own materials. When we hire it done, that's what we expect. But when it's something that we did with our own crew, with city power, I really like that and appreciate that from my guys and for myself. It's good to see that you can just step back, and for years to come, you can hey, we did that.
I love working with rural communities. I grew up very rural. Yeah, this is the thriving metropolis compared to my hometown. So when I get to see things continue to happen, and Hillsboro's been very proactive in maintaining the city, keeping it moving forward. That's the communities I like to work with and be involved with. But probably my most rewarding thing is with the infrastructure we deal with, the streets just been one piece of that. I know I've done my job when I don't hear about anything afterwards. If I go completely unnoticed after the construction's done, I know I've done it right. Actually being unnoticed is the most
That is
rewarding
the
thing.
truth of government, right? We operate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, if the street's done right, you don't get any more complaints about it. If the water lines, if it's flowing right, the sewer, the drainage, if it's done, if it's working correctly after, nobody ever says anything about them. The focus goes to the next bad thing.
Mhm.
So
That's fair.
that's my most rewarding.
A message from the editor. Hello friends. At this point in the video, we typically have a brand new game created by the game master, aka yours truly. Unfortunately, some visual difficulties interfered with production that rendered these clips essentially useless. For this, I sincerely apologize and hope, instead, you'll accept this short tribute to co-host, Matt Stiles, as this episode was his last official appearance on Coffee with the Mayor. Good luck, Matt. We wish you all the best and hope you'll carry these memories with you onto even brighter endeavors. We'll never forget your contributions to CWTM.
Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. We've got a lot of important projects going on that you guys are right there front and center on, and we very much appreciate the work that you do, not just for the city of Hillsboro, but for all the people in Hillsboro and all the people that visit Hillsboro. and all the people that compliment us when they see the state of our infrastructure and our streets. So we've got a lot more to go. I mean, we're not resting on our laurels here, but we've got a plan, and we're going to keep working it, and we're going to get it done.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to work with the city because we think it's a very good mutual working relationship.
So this is the part at the end here where we give you the opportunity, if you'd like, to plug any social media or anything that is of interest to you. Darin, how do people find out more about EBH?
Our website is www.ebhengineering.com, which also we have our own plan room. So anytime any of these projects are out for bid, all the bidders come and actually get the plans right off of ours. And we actually do electronic bid openings right there too. So but we're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, about every social media platform though we're on.
Until next time, we would encourage you to check us out on YouTube, the city's YouTube channel, and Spotify. Give us a like and hit that subscribe button. We want to keep you updated and caffeinated. So until next time, Hillsboro, thanks again.